Revelation chapter 15 is a relatively short chapter that serves as a prelude to the final series of judgments in the book of Revelation. Here's an overview of the chapter. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video introduction. Revelation 15, a prelude to the final judgments. Revelation chapter 15 is a pivotal chapter in the book of Revelation, serving as the introduction to the final and climactic series of divine judgments that will be poured out on the earth. This chapter stands as a solemn pause before the unleashing of the 7 bowls of God's wrath, which culminates in the ultimate destruction of evil and the final establishment of God's kingdom. The imagery and themes in Revelation chapter 15 are rich with symbolic meaning, drawing from Old Testament allusions and reflecting the cosmic battle between good and evil that pervades the entire book. Verse 1, the finality of God's wrath. Then I saw another sign in heaven, great and amazing, 7 angels with 7 plagues, which are the last. For with them the wrath of God is finished. Revelation chapter 15 verse 1, ESV, the chapter opens with John witnessing another sign in heaven, which he describes as great and amazing. This sign is not the first of its kind in Revelation, but it is the final one, marking the completion of God's wrath. The 7 angels carrying the 7 last plagues represent the fullness of divine judgment. The use of the number 7, which is often symbolic of completeness or perfection in biblical literature, underscores the idea that these plagues will bring God's judgment to its ultimate conclusion. The concept of God's wrath being finished with these plagues is crucial. Throughout the Bible, God's wrath is depicted as his righteous response to sin and evil. However, it is not capricious or vindictive, rather, it is a measured and just response to the persistent rebellion and wickedness of humanity. The finality of this wrath suggests that with these last judgments, the era of divine patience and grace will come to an end, giving way to the full manifestation of God's justice. Verses 2-4, the sea of glass and the song of the victorious. And I saw what appeared to be a sea of glass mingled with fire, and also those who had conquered the beast and its image and the number of its name, standing beside the sea of glass with harps of God in their hands. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and amazing are your deeds, O Lord God the Almighty. Just and true are your ways, O King of the nations. Who will not fear, O Lord, and glorify your name? For you alone are holy. All nations will come and worship you, for your righteous acts have been revealed. Revelation chapter 15 verses 2-4, ESV, John's vision then shifts to a sea of glass mingled with fire. This sea of glass recalls the imagery from Revelation chapter 4 verse 6, where it is described as being like crystal, symbolizing purity and holiness. The addition of fire in this chapter may represent judgment or the purifying presence of God. Fire often symbolizes God's holiness and judgment in the Bible, and its presence here may indicate that the final judgments are about to purify the earth from all unrighteousness. Standing beside this fiery sea are those who have conquered the beast and its image and the number of its name. These are the saints who remained faithful to God despite the persecution and temptations brought by the beast, commonly interpreted as the Antichrist and his system. Their victory is not military but spiritual, won through steadfast faith and loyalty to God. They are given harps, instruments of worship, which indicates their role in leading heavenly praise. The victorious saints sing the Song of Moses and the Song of the Lamb. The Song of Moses is a reference to the songs sung by the Israelites after their deliverance from Egypt, as recorded in Exodus chapter 15. This song celebrates God's triumph over the forces of evil, symbolized by Pharaoh and his army. By linking this song with the Song of the Lamb, Revelation draws a parallel between the deliverance of Israel from physical slavery and the deliverance of the faithful from spiritual bondage through the Lamb, Jesus Christ. The content of their song praises God's mighty deeds, his justice, and his truth. It acknowledges God as the King of the nations, a title that emphasizes his sovereign rule over all people and powers. The song also anticipates the universal worship of God, where all nations will recognize his holiness and righteousness. This reflects the eschatological hope of the Bible, where the knowledge of God covers the earth, and all creation acknowledges his lordship. Verses 5-6, the opening of the heavenly temple. After this I looked, and the sanctuary of the tent of witness in heaven was opened. And out of the sanctuary came the 7 angels with the 7 plagues, clothed in pure, bright linen, with golden sashes around their chests. Revelation chapter 15 verses 5-6. ESV, the vision continues with the opening of the sanctuary of the tent of witness in heaven. This refers to the heavenly counterpart of the earthly tabernacle, the place where God's presence dwelled among the Israelites during their wilderness journey. The tent of witness, or tabernacle of testimony, is a reminder of the covenant between God and his people, and the law that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. As the temple is opened, 7 angels emerge, each carrying one of the 7 plagues. Their appearance is significant. They are clothed in pure, bright linen and wear golden sashes around their chests. The linen signifies purity and righteousness, while the golden sashes suggest a royal or priestly status. These angels are not merely messengers of judgment, they are holy servants of God, carrying out his will with divine authority. The opening of the temple and the emergence of the angels highlight the gravity of the impending judgments. The fact that these plagues come from the temple indicates that they are not random acts of destruction but are divinely ordained and executed in accordance with God's righteous plan. Verses 7-8. The bowls of God's wrath and the glory of God, and one of the 4 living creatures gave to the 7 angels 7 golden bowls full of the wrath of God who lives forever and ever. And the sanctuary was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power, and no one could enter the sanctuary until the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were finished. Revelation chapter 15 verses 7-8. ESV, one of the 4 living creatures, who are often seen as representing all of creation or the 4 corners of the earth, gives the 7 angels 7 golden bowls filled with the wrath of God. The imagery of bowls suggests something that is to be poured out, and indeed, these bowls will soon be poured out upon the earth in the following chapter, bringing about catastrophic judgments. The wrath of God in these bowls is described as being full, indicating the completeness and intensity of the judgment that is about to be unleashed. The fact that the living creature gives the bowls to the angels underscores the idea that all of creation is involved in the execution of God's justice. As the angels receive the bowls, the sanctuary is filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power. This scene is reminiscent of the dedication of Solomon's temple in 1 Kings chapter 8 verses 10-11, where the glory of God filled the temple, preventing the priests from entering. The smoke symbolizes the overwhelming presence and holiness of God, making it impossible for anyone to approach him while his judgment is being executed. The closing verse of the chapter emphasizes that no one could enter the sanctuary until the 7 plagues were completed. This underscores the seriousness and finality of the judgments. The fact that access to the temple is restricted until the judgments are finished suggests that these events are part of a divine plan that must be fully carried out before any further divine interaction with humanity. Theological and symbolic interpretations. Revelation chapter 15 is laden with symbolism and theological depth. The chapter draws heavily on Old Testament imagery, particularly from the Exodus narrative, to convey the themes of deliverance, judgment, and the ultimate triumph of God. The sea of glass and fire. The sea of glass represents a barrier between the divine and the earthly, symbolizing the purity and holiness of God. The mingling of fire with the sea may suggest the presence of divine judgment or the refining process that the faithful have endured. This imagery resonates with the biblical theme of passing through water, e.g., the Red Sea, baptism, as a symbol of deliverance and purification. The Song of Moses and the Lamb. The dual reference to Moses and the Lamb links the Old and New Covenants, showing the continuity of God's plan of salvation from the deliverance of Israel to the ultimate redemption through Christ. The song emphasizes God's righteousness, justice, and universal sovereignty, themes that are central to the book of Revelation. The 7 angels and the 7 plagues. The angels' role as bearers of the final plagues highlights the inevitability and completeness of God's judgment. Their priestly attire suggests that these judgments are not arbitrary but are part of a holy and righteous process. The heavenly temple. The opening of the temple and the filling of the sanctuary with smoke reflect the sanctity and seriousness of the divine judgments. The temple imagery connects the heavenly events with the earthly worship practices of Israel, emphasizing that what is happening in heaven has profound implications for the earth. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.